You know what I'm saying? I used to be the one making beats, and Reggie used to always be. He was definitely top two, top three in the freestyle game at the school. He was up there for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah, he still get his freestyle on, much to as much as I tell him not to. He
Oh,
does. He
oh,
does.
I'm not about to. I'm about to start something. I don't even mean to start nothing. I'm not trying to get bro in trouble.
He ain't gonna be in trouble. He just he does it.
Hmm. Hi, what up, dog? I see you in the comments, dog. Hold on, let me get it in real quick. Woo! So when we do our start at the beginning, me and Fred just go for a minute. You just kind of hang tight. I figure out a way to bring you in on the conversation.
Okay.
When I say it's freestyle, I say I figure out a way to bring you in. It's freestyle, and I figure out a way to bring you in. That's just how that. That's just how that works.
All right. Let's do it.
Right. Appreciate everybody rocking with us live. I don't know how many. I don't know who's all viewing, but the Facebook feed tells me that we got quite a few viewers. Fred, you nearby that fan? It's loud, bro. I'm sorry. I don't want you up there cooking though.
I wonder if I turn my other filter, if it'll help block out some of that.
Try it out. We got a minute.
How well you hear it?
I can hear pretty well right now.
Let me find the what is it? Oh, there we go.
Whatever you just did you change something or did you just turn it off?
I changed it.
Huh, it's weird. It's like it adjusts when you started talking again.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I could hear something at all times in my mic, but I don't know what that be. It's always sound like a airflow or something going on.
Hold on. When your left shoulder dips back, I can't hear it. Like can't hear it. Right there, I cannot hear it. Oh, now I can. It was like going with your rock though. It was like it was crazy. I thought I figured it out. I thought it was something simple. Whoops. I think it's just your noise cancellation going back and forth. Oh well. I ain't trying to have you pass out while we on air.
So it got to be something else then, because I'm on mute. How you hear it on mute? Hold on, I'm not on mute right now, but I'm about to mute it.
Oh, it's Bianca. I just muted Bianca for a second.
That's why I'm like, wait a minute, because I was like, that's the only thing he finna get is he finna get a mute real quick, and if you like, bro, I still hear. I'm like, hold on, and I started talking, and ain't none of y'all say nothing to me, so I'm like, all right.
That's crazy. I don't know what. Well, all right, we just got to deal with it. It's gonna be what it is. Cause the microphone on her headset ain't working, so we got to use the laptop microphone there. So we just can't control it. So disclaimer: y'all gonna hear some fan on this episode.
Hey, I'll turn mine on then.
I'm gonna just balance it out.
And and I don't even have it.
Huh?
I don't know.
It's it's
I said I don't even have anything going in my background.
it's because of the microphone. It's because of the microphone using the laptop plus the big open space. It's just catching just the general
Oh
oxygen that's in
wow.
the room. Yeah,
Okay.
ain't nothing you can do about it. It just
Hmm.
it's because you got the situation you're in. You got to use your laptop microphone. You're helping yourself actually because you're
Mm-hmm.
using the headphones at least. So at least you're not getting your own feedback at this point. Like
Right.
if you go back, if you listen to like our very first episode, my audio god awful,
Okay.
god awful. It sounds like I'm in like a big what I because that first episode that we ever did, I was actually out of town for work, and so I was recording in my hotel room. Massive space. It's a hotel room, and it's all open. And I'm just using just the computer. Don't have a microphone. Don't have a headset. Nothing. It was
Hmm.
that audio was just absolutely terrible. So you know what I'm saying. We learned a little bit by a little bit as we keep going. Ain't nothing we can do about it. It's gonna be all right. I
Okay.
I was like a month ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. Fred had a little like audio glitch one day, one episode, and I'm just like, man, I heard ESPN just give me like choppy audio on a podcast. If ESPN can get away with it, y'all can rock with the homies at what's happening for whatever we got going on over here. All right, I got it out there.
Hey, appreciate everybody rocking in the comments already.
Oh, yes, sir. Appreciate all y'all. All right, bro, you ready?
Let's get it.
Tell March I need some ice cream too.
Hey, we love ice cream in this house. It's
Hey,
all good.
gee, that's through that's through a whole wall and a door.
Listen, like we just
That
can't
mug
even
picking
control it,
that up, yeah, you ain't like straight up.
man. We Gucci though. Welcome to what's happening. I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
It's the show we talk about what's happening. What's happening with you, bro?
Not much, bro, man. About to get ready to hit Lima, go to my grandma's 90th birthday, you know what I'm saying, party. So go down there
Wow,
with my peoples, you know what I mean?
man.
Rock out with Granny.
That's
Not
up.
much.
That's what's up, man. Happy birthday to Granny, bro. Yeah, my grandmother is 83, man. I hope she lived to see 183. I love that woman.
Hey, most definitely, most definitely. Hey, it's gonna be
Man,
interesting. Her mama made it to 93 or 94. I had my great grandma until I was 17. It's one of
that's
those
dope.
numbers, so it's gonna be dope to see, you know what I'm saying, how far she make it. I'm gonna tell you now, hey, we was just kicking it for my sister graduation party and she got up and danced with me and everything. So she's still to me, she's still straight, you know what I mean? You ain't
Yeah,
showing no
man.
sign of slowing down for real, for real.
Yeah, man, that's dope. Yeah, I have an aunt here, man, 94 years old, man. Don't
That's
look it.
dope.
Don't look it. Just as wonderful, as sweet as she can be. Um, Yeah, I mean, you just never know how that stuff works out, bro. I mean, but I
Right.
hope so, man, because this is not what we're talking about. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it out. It's not the topic for discussion for tonight, but you know, yesterday we did lose one of the icons of basketball. Y'all listen to this every week. Y'all know we
Rest in
like
peace.
basketball. I I can't let this whole episode go without saying rest in peace to the legend Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, yeah. I don't know what the hell I just said. I'm tripping.
I didn't even
Yeah.
hear you, so it's all good.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, rest in peace to Bill Russell for sure.
Yeah.
One of the
11 time,
greatest to do it.
11-time champion, 5-time MVP, the first black coach in American major professional sports, basketball, football, hockey, baseball, all of them.
Damn.
Bill Russell was the first black man to do it, and he passed away yesterday. But rest in peace to the legend. And let me go full screen because Brandon over there fooling in the comments. We gonna get started. We have a wonderful guest with us. She's an author. Her, what's the name of the book? I swear to God, I lost it. I had it and I lost it already. You muted.
Ah, it's called In the Dangerous Game.
That's what. I'm sorry. Beyanka Glasgow, how are you?
I am fine. Or should I say, what's happening, everybody?
That's
I'm
exactly what you're supposed to
good.
say. It's exactly what you're supposed to say. I love
Yeah,
it.
was
I'm
good.
good.
Was
I'm good.
good.
We're happy to have you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I wanted to bring you on board. I was so glad that you were so gracious to say yes, even though I use Android and you use iPhone. She still said yes. Um,
Team iPhone. Yes.
Took it back to one of them fights, huh?
listen, listen, and you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts
Straight up.
and the entire archive on Apple Podcasts. But nonetheless, now I want to bring you on board because you're an author, and I want to talk about what your journey is to what made you decide to write a book. And you've written. Am I remembering this correctly? You've written two.
I've actually written 7, but
Hey.
Wow.
yeah, so
That's
I've written
dope.
7, but there are only actually 3 that are independently published.
Okay.
But I do have the rights to all of my books.
Mm.
The other 4, they're just not up on Amazon right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us, what was your inspiration? I mean, if you have 7 books written, I gotta imagine that at a young age that you decided you want to be a writer.
Facts. So I started writing when I was in first grade. I started writing poems that were entered into like the little elementary school writing book, as they called it then. So that's actually when I started. But I can say I slowed it down a little bit once I got a little bit older, but writing has been something that I always like to do. So yeah, I did start young. I started young. The idea of turning my writings into a book was actually inspired by my grandmother. But then I kind of got a little bit of wind beneath my wings with Reggie. He's the one that told me, like, yeah, babe, you should make these some books. I said, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I started my first novel, I'll say, what, 2012, and I finished it in 2018. Yep.
Okay. So, and I'm just taking notes so I can keep track with the conversation. I'm gonna have more questions later for sure.
Okay.
Um, so first off, shout out to Reggie. I said it before we officially started the show, but for podcast listeners, Bianca's husband Reggie is he and I went to high school together. So we're talking 25, 20. No, I ain't that
Oh,
old.
you're
Not 20,
old.
not
Oof.
25, but about
Oof.
20, 21 years ago
Mm.
is when I met Brody. So now shout out. So you said you've written 7. The first novel was written in 2012,
Yes.
and you said your granny is the one that was really kind of your first, go ahead, baby, you can do it.
Yes, yes. And you were talking about grandmothers earlier. So
Yeah.
my grandmother would have celebrated her 100th birthday on July 28th.
Wow.
Yeah, she passed when I was 5. So,
Oh. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
So she put
Mhm.
that into you at a
Young
young
age,
A
age.
very young age.
and it
So,
stuck with you.
oh man, I was cooking and cleaning and writing. So, yes, my grandmother, very huge inspiration, very huge.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Mhm.
And
awesome.
Brandon, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna show you a question here in a second. I'll make sure we get to it. So I don't think we're just leaving you out. But your grandmother put that in your young age, and you say you was cooking, cleaning, and writing. Did you physically write, or do you keep like a tape recorder or something and just jot your thoughts, or you know what I'm saying? What
So,
goes into that flow?
it has honestly progressed. It started out as me just jotting down words, and from that it turned into me creating stories. And from that, I took it back a step, and I started doing what's called word webs. So just jotting down little ideas of how I want things to flow, and then I take it back and make it a story. So as of right now, I have a notebook just full of little ideas and things that I want to say, that might be a good story. And I just let the words flow, let the words flow from that.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's dope concept. That's definitely a different take for sure. So
Yeah.
my question, because you said you wrote your first novel in 2012.
Yes.
When was it published?
That novel was published in 2018. 2018.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me go to my next question, which is the reason it wasn't published until 2018. Was it because the different ways of going about writing and publishing a book changing, having the abilities of being able to publish from like Amazon or different websites? I know there's other, places, but Amazon's like fluently used nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other ways to freelance your books versus I'm sure in 2012 it wasn't as what it is now. You know what I mean? So it was there some complications there of getting it published. You know what I'm saying? Probably, I'm pretty sure you probably had to go through like a publishing house or something more of that nature back then
Mm-hmm.
versus now being able to submit it and having somebody go over it and tell you, okay, we had to kick it back because it is fix this or whatever, and you're
Right.
tweaking it on the go.
Mhm.
How did that?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to consider was the audience. Because I write mostly urban fiction, the audience for that is mostly people that are in the urban areas. So places like Barnes and Noble, they have a very, very, very limited selection of urban authors. So that was the first thing I considered was the avenue. The second thing that I considered was somebody going with someone that I could trust. Now, going branching off into writing, it's like you have a lot of people who say they like your idea, but do they really want to use your words or do they want to turn it into something that they want it to be? So it was finding somebody that I could really trust. And because I'm such a avid and voracious reader, I had a lot of different avenues that I could turn to just for, question purposes. Like, okay, if I want to branch off into this, what would be the steps? So when I did decide to publish, I went with someone that I was a fan of who had their own publishing. I'm not gonna say their own. They had a publishing company that was backed by another company. So I went with them, and they honestly gave me the tools to go independent with the publishing house. Like you said, it was the whole rewrites, it was the editing and things like that, which I didn't have a problem with. What I will say though is I would encourage everyone to self publish because you can keep your words your own. And that's the biggest part of writing for me. Like I want to say what I want to say and not have somebody say, "Oh, you should have said it like this. Oh, you meant that." No, I know what I meant because I said it. Um, so taking the time is what took so long to answer your initial question. Taking the time to
Right.
make it perfect.
Okay. So when you say, keeping your word your own,
Yes.
I want to assume that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but basically you like to write how you talk.
Yes. Yes. I
Hey,
like
I'm
yes.
right there with you. So this is how I'm right there with you because
Yeah.
being in college, a lot of times that's what I'm told is, hey, you type like you talk, you write like you talk, and it's in proper English, and they want to mark you up and grade you for all of this stuff, and then
Mhm.
you can go back and rehash it, and then they find 100 other things within those things. It's like, well, if you corrected it the first time and I fixed it, how is it still wrong? You know what I mean? Like that's my first question. That don't even make sense. Why would you
Exactly.
correct a paper to
Exactly.
have to recorrect the paper? Why didn't you correct it all the way the first time? You know what I'm saying? It sounds
Mhm.
like you trying to reword the words to
Mhm.
make it fit what you call proper English. So yeah, no, I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. That's what made me ask you that because I've thought about writing a book, but that was one of my biggest fears is if somebody come back to tell me, listen, you're gonna have to listen, bro. You can go ahead and scratch all that. You want to make it your book, take it, rewrite it, do what you want. I'm not doing all
And see, that's
that.
what's so. Now I don't know. I don't know which genre you're
Listen,
interested
I'm
in, but
not.
that's one of the things about the urban fiction genre. That's one of the things that's so interesting about it because I mean, it's what the name entails. It's urban fiction, so everybody is not going to pronounce things with an er. It's. I mean, if I want to say four for four, it's a four for four. It's not a four for four. So that's one of the good things about the urban genre. You can make it your own. Now, I will say this: when you branch off into those bigger markets like the Barnes and Nobles, you may have to encounter some of those bigger names in publishing that may say, "Hey, yeah, I like the concept, but you might want to use this word instead of this word." Um, but I have been told that there is a way to get your novels out there without so much as having a major backer. It's all about, you know, the money. That's one of the biggest things. It's about the money. And if you put your money behind your craft, you can do whatever you want to do, honestly. But right now I'm on the level of just keeping things on Amazon because I want to build myself just a little bit more before I say I'm ready for the Targets and the Barnes and Nobles and everything else. So I actually like publishing to Amazon. I think it's brilliant,
Yeah, you're talking about
honestly.
like you're talking about full and complete ownership of your work and your brand and
Absolutely.
you making something your own, which is so important. We get so lost um trying to fit in. Hell, I'll peel back the covers a whole lot. I do it with this a whole lot. Me and Fred was just having a long conversation not even a week ago where I'm just like, hey, should we just stick in one lane? Should we just do the interviews or should we just do the current events? Whereas the whole reason I wanted to start this podcast and the whole reason I want to start this podcast with Fred is because I wanted to prove that you don't have to fit into a box. You can have a conversation with anyone regarding anything as long as more than one party is open to it. So
Absolutely.
we can interview Beyanka Glasgow this week. We can interview gospel hip hop artists. We can interview survivors of sexual assault. And we might have a porn star coming soon. Stay tuned.
What porn stars? Oh yes.
Hey,
Porn stars and strippers. Make sure they read my book. Hey. I like
Hey,
it.
hey, y'all
Hey,
tune in to what's happening. Hit the follow button on your cell phone, on your Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, wherever you listen to us.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, nah, that's you know what I'm saying.
I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had to throw it up there. But I'm
Brandon said,
sorry,
"Can he be my
Brandon.
first?" Brandon said,
It,
"Can he be the first white guy?" But
it's
you
too
got to go
late.
check back. You got to go. You got to go hit the
Yes.
archives. Oh
Actually, I
no,
don't know. You can check back on Facebook. You might only could get that on the podcast for right now. That might be a Saturday rewind though. It's going to be a 2 or 3 part series though.
well, what I was gonna say is we definitely have had a white male guest, but I don't know that we've interviewed a white man. But stay tuned for that too. Your boy's working hard. Trust me.
Yeah, silly. But nah, back to it though. You know, I I love, you know what I'm saying, the fact that I feel like more people is being comfortable putting books out, you know what I'm saying, and sharing a side of them that, you know, one is very creative and two, you know, kind of helps you, you know what I'm saying, look at them in a different light, you know what I'm saying? So my thing is, what would you tell somebody who is, you know, thinking about it or wanting to do it, but you know, isn't pulling the trigger? What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing that I would tell them is to remove all doubt and go for it. That might be the hardest thing because, to be very honest, I had to do that myself. There was a time when I felt like, okay, everybody's putting out a book, so nobody's going to read my book. No, can't have that. Can't have that thinking. So, first thing, remove all doubt and go for it. Second thing, find something that you are interested in writing about. Don't let people dictate to you what is going to sell and what is not going to sell. You know yourself, you know your craft, just right. Just right. You'd be surprised who you may inspire, what may come from what you think isn't good enough. Just do it. That's really the only two things. Just do it. Just do
No,
it. Just do it.
and you are 100% preaching to me right now because like 2 maybe 3 months ago, I was on here. Me and Fred were recording. I was like, I had this thought. I told myself a joke. I'm going to record a podcast, or I said I was going to write a book. It's going to be called 140 Characters or Less. And then Fred was just like, his face was just like, it don't sound like a joke. It sounds like something you want to do. And I've been low key thinking about it ever since that night that I said it. Just kind of put it out there. So you high key talking to your boy right now. Real talk. So yeah, what's that process of like having the idea? Are you just, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but go into like greater detail. Are you just kind of like jotting ideas down of where you want to go? How, like, what's the process of starting a book?
Well, I can speak for myself. Oh, well, obviously. Um first thing I first thing I think about is, what do I want others to know? What am I interested in? So with the Caught in a Dangerous Game, with that book, it's about a stripper. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
So
that's
the
why you
book,
want her to listen. That's why you're excited. Well, all right, all right, all right.
yeah,
Gotta
it's about a
promote, gotta
stripper.
promote. Yourself, shit.
Now with that book, saying that I want to be a stripper, but I'm saying I am thinking about, what is a stripper, what's going on in a stripper's mind. Okay. So just thinking about what interests you. That's the first thing. Then turning it into, how do I make it interesting for others? So with my book, it's this young girl. She's a little lost. Not she comes from a family that's not very supportive. A lot of people can relate to that. She decides that she's going to live her life for her and not for others. But in the process, she encounters some things that's not so good. And it continues in part two with a completely different story. So I am mixing. I like to say that I'm mixing reality with a little bit of imagination. because these things, I mean, they can honestly happen. It's just how do I make it interesting so people can say, "Damn, I can relate to that." Yeah, I can relate to that.
That's dope.
Yeah, definitely hitting two sides of it or switching it up. Bring it up and then have a plot twist and come back a different way. Where people can relate is definitely
Uh-huh.
saying something that's unique.
So
Oh,
you
and it was definitely a plot twist with charisma. Jesus Christ. And these characters, they be in my head like, and they be fighting. They be fighting me. I'm like, oh my goodness, calm down. I got you.
Well,
I got you.
everybody needs some shine, huh? You
Yeah, I
ain't
got you.
writing enough about them, huh?
so you kind of gave a prelude, and you said in part two, this is going to happen. And Natasha's question is, when are you dropping a new book? I'm assuming you're working on part two right now.
No. So
Oh,
part two is actually, no, part two is done. So I don't know if you guys can
ooh,
see.
uh oh, uh oh,
But this is
there it
part
is.
one.
Hey, that's
This
a
is called
dope
An
cover.
Adventurous Game.
Yes,
And this is part two.
yes. So
So
for the
so
podcast
these are
listeners,
actually
she's sorry. Just for the podcast listeners, we're seeing the book. She's got them done. She's got them
these
both
books are
for us.
actually oh, I'm sorry. Yep. So those books are actually done and available on Amazon, as well as a third book that I had written. Now, to answer Natasha's question, shout out to Author T Friday. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I am actually working on my eighth book right now, so I don't have a date yet. I wanted to put it out. I did want to release this year. However, I do believe that I might have only because of work work reasons.
Okay.
But the book is it's actually in progress, and I'd say it's about 55% done. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that walks right into Brandon's question. So how do you envision how big or small your story would be? Can you read cover to cover, but how do you write not knowing where the covers will close? So basically he's saying like how do you break your chapters? How do you know that you started and finished one book,
Mhm.
where does that happen at?
So this might throw you off a little bit, Brandon, but I actually write the ending of my books first. I write the endings, yeah. I write the endings so that I can tell the story from beginning to end, if that makes any sense. Writing my ending first, it helps me envision how I want the story to go. So if I say
Mm.
John I'm not really stabbing anybody, you guys. John
You
stabbed
good?
Stacy in the back, the end. Okay, so what led John to stab Stacy? Let's start from the beginning and tell the story to the end. So, and I split my chapters up. I try to keep it as realistic without being too wordy. So it may start with the backstory. It may start with a current story, take it back a little bit, and then we go back to the current. It really just depends on how I ended the book. How I ended the book. That's it. Really depends on.
And you know what's so interesting is that you're saying you don't know if it would make sense. It makes perfect sense to me to start from the end and work your way back. And the reason why it makes so much perfect sense to me is because those of you that are regular listeners know that I make no apologies about being a wrestling fan, and they always talk about when they write the storylines, or at least back in the day, they would say, "Here's the end point that we want to get to," and then they would write their stories backwards. Okay, so to get there, here's what makes sense. How do we get there from the point that we are now? So for you to say that I start with my ending and make my way backwards absolutely makes perfect sense to me.
Hmm. And then I find when you start at the end, you eliminate being too wordy. I've tried it both ways. So I've tried starting a book from the beginning to the end, and I found it was too much. And you don't want to bog your readers down with too much. You want to give them just enough. And if You have a second part, keep them guessing. Um, Now, my last book that I wrote, it was a standalone book. So that one was a little bit more pages, I should say. But I'm not going to say that was the end of those characters. I will just say that that was a standalone book for now. Nudge,
Would
nudge, hint, hint.
w- would it be easier to do a part two then from that perspective? If you say, okay, I want to get to this point of part two, but you've already got like part like the beginning and started since you did a part one, and then you already have characters. Is it easier to just kind of do continuous parts? And is that why we see sequels upon sequels of movies and books and things of that nature?
Exactly, exactly. Sometimes you don't want your character to have that end, so you want to, kind of give them just one more time to act right. And like with this book, I didn't want her to end up being the person that was just always on the bad side of just receiving everything. So I had to give her a proper ending. Had to give her a proper ending. Now, if you just sick of your characters and you just want them gone, yeah, just give them one part. Just give them one book. That'll be it. Now, I will say with this next book, these characters they have been seen before. They have been seen before, but it is not a part two per se. It is what's called in the writing world. It's called a continuation. So you're just picking up from some characters that were previously seen before. Same storyline. It's a totally different storyline, just familiar characters.
That's dope. That's dope. So you technically at this point have 8 books written, 3 published, and one that's going to be published soon. I'm gonna play the role with Fred for a second. What's holding you up from publishing the other 4 books? What you holding us out for? What's up with
Ooh, okay.
Hey, stall her out, Debo.
Good think, actually.
that?
Taking time, number one. So, with those books, with those 4 books that were previously published, I did publish those under a publishing contract with a major publishing house.
Okay.
I decided to end that arrangement and go independent. Now, like I said earlier, I have all the rights to my books. I just do not have the rights to any cover art, anything like that. So, first step is finding some proper cover art. Second step is actually just doing a complete rewrite and putting it back out on Amazon. So, with 4 books, you can imagine that takes some time.
I dig it.
I know, Brad, you know what I do for a living. So, trying to get that done with what I do is a little hectic. I
Woo!
think so. I thank the pandemic because that was the reason why the 3 books that I did publish were put out on Amazon. Now that I'm back to working full time, it's like I write when I can, um, but I do still take time for it. I'm just trying to. I want to focus more on the new material. The past 4 books, and they're like, oh, they already know what it's about. But with these new books, people who don't know who I am, they can get a sense of who I am.
So Natasha said she could add you to some cover groups. I'm
Thank
not
you, girl.
I'm not sure why you don't own the rights to them, but I got a very, very, very dope um, graphic designer slash artist, and she gives you your rights. It's not no Canvas or Fiverr. Like she gives you all your stuff. It could be
Hmm.
trademarked if you want it.
Um.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Uh,
So when you are assigned to a publisher, you don't own the rights because that publisher has an agreement with whoever does their cover art. So when you get out of that contract, you can now I'm not saying that you can't purchase something from them, but the use of that cover art is the direct ownership of whoever you were signed to, which I can understand because that's how they make their money too. So
Yeah.
they
so even when you
get
go
their
through
ends from
Amazon,
getting their ends from that cover. So
when you go through Amazon, you can't like come with your own cover for your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because like my cousin did a cookbook, and he had his artist, create him a cover for his, but they did reject it a couple times, and they had to redo it. You know what I mean? It was some stuff to it. I ain't gonna say it was just like, oh yeah, he just threw something in there, but
Oh no, so you can most definitely come with your own cover. And these covers, once again, shout out to author T Friday. One of her pen sisters actually made my covers for me. So yes, you can most definitely come with your own covers. It's just purchasing them, finding somebody who can see your vision. But yeah, you can come with your own covers, and I do know about the Amazon rules because when I tried to upload these on Amazon, I literally tried for 4 days to get my cover dimensions right. So yes, I know all about that.
definitely, definitely. So
Um,
yeah, if you,
but it's just with the publishers, it's a little bit different because, like I said, they sometimes are in contracts with these people, so they don't want to rock the boat and say, "Oh yeah, I'll work for you,"
It's
although you were formally signed to them.
it's
You don't
it's
want to do
corporate
that.
red tape, and you got to make sure that you back at square one. Not at square one, but if there's 10 squares, you probably back at square four, and you got to make sure that you do everything right so that you can't run into legal trouble down the road because
Absolutely.
you ain't trying to make 10 grand and get sued for 35.
Eh,
I get you.
exactly. Exactly.
so
Go ahead, Fred.
no, go ahead, bro.
I lost my thought.
Yeah. I was just finna throw Brandon question out there because he still got one that's all the way up in the comments, and then he got another one that wasn't. So I was gonna try to,
Go ahead.
let him get a couple answers real quick. So
Last question for a while. You lie. It's the question says, do you use source material or do research for the content of the stories? And if so, how do you keep from getting buried under all of the information out there and pick out the right inspirations?
I love that question. So, Brandon, I actually do both. Now my stories are a bit of reality mixed with some imagination. So a lot of the times what I'll do is if I know that I'm going to write something about an issue that somebody that I know might be going through or may have been through, I will use that reality portion. And then for the imagination, yeah, I'll quickly hop on Google and I'll say, okay, how did this drug dealer turn this into this? um, or how much does this cost if I'm selling drugs? I'm just but that's what I'll do. How much does a Lamborghini really cost? Stuff like that. Um, and how do I keep it from getting buried under all the information? I honestly, that's a good question. I don't know. um, I guess I can take it and turn it into something else, maybe. I, I guess maybe. Um, but I try not to ever write about the same thing more than once either.
You don't want to be Tyler Perry and write the same play
Oh
in the
goodness,
same
no!
movie?
God awful ass wigs. Oh God, no,
Hey, I just had to
no,
get
no. And is
to have Brad disclaiming this whole
what's
podcast
funny
just
about
in
that is
case Tyler Perry want to do something with him. And you, oh yeah, hold on,
I love
Bradley.
you, Tyler.
Bradley finna go straight red tape on you real
the
quick.
rule, the views expressed.
I love you, Tyler. Um, and what's funny about that, when I was signed to a publisher, a lot. Okay, in case you guys don't know, a lot of our royalties are based upon reviews and how many people actually download your book and read it. One of the reviews that I got, I'll never forget this one. One of the reviews I got was, I am tired of reading about the same hood ass dramas where the females are damsel in distress while the men just sit here and fuck random bitches and sell drugs. Now, I'm not going to lie to you all. My first book was something about that, but I tried to make it different. I tried to make it different.
Listen, she sounded like she was the one that was getting cheated on by the drug dealing
That
Negro.
so I'm not gonna lie to you. I kept that review in my mind for the next book that I wrote, and I told myself that okay, I'm going to try to make this book different, and I did. And when I did, the feedback that I got was terrible because everybody wanted that first book. They were like, "Oh no, that first book was the bomb. What happened to that?" And I'm like, "Well, sure. I mean, if you want something, I can try to conjure up something else, but I took it a different route. And I honestly, now I like the route that I'm going on with it because the stories there, like I said, they're still relatable. Not to say that, you can't fall in love with a drug dealer and he, does whatever to you. It's just, I'll say that I kind of morphed past it, but it's still in there. I mean, I can write you a dope story about it. It's just right
Pun
now, I
intended.
want something different. Yeah, you're right. You can't please everyone, Tasha. That's definitely true.
And that goes back to the Tyler Perry piece of it. We can, we make fun of at the, you said the terrible wigs, the plays where they had the microphone just the dangling right
Hmm.
over their nose and stuff is crazy. But you know what though? When you have a certain, like your stuff will never please anybody. So find your niche and just grow within that range. Do what, I mean, because if you're trying to do, no matter what you're doing, writing a book, podcasting, cooking, anything that you're doing, if you're doing something and you don't have passion to do it, or in the way that you go about doing it, it's just not going to be good content, no matter what it is that you're producing. So
Absolutely.
you can't you can't please everybody. Please yourself.
Absolutely. I might put that in the book.
Hmm.
Hey, I'm with it. Um, we'll go to Brandon's question before we go to mine. Brandon's next question, because I told you he was a liar. So if
No,
he,
this was the one that was like at the beginning. I said, "Hey, bro,
oh, all
I
right.
wanted to get into some of the meat of it and let her get her story out of what she do."
But he's asking you to go over what it takes to network as an author and why he's talking about networking as an author. T Friday, Author T Friday. I heard that. If you want to come talk on what's happening, hit us in the DMs. What's happening? But Brandon's asking, can you go over what it takes to network as an author? Also, what is your process on finding a way to write without losing your own voice within the text?
Okay. Well, I will say networking with other authors on who you are as a person and your personality type. So, like author T Friday, like she's in the comments. She is honestly one of the first people that reached out to me when I decided that I was going to actually publish my book. So I can say that she has been truly helpful and inspirational with this whole process because she's published a lot of books. So she kind of showed me the ropes and everything and just told me, the what to and what not to do when it comes to writing. Now, one of the things, and I'm not going to throw out any names or say anything too bad. One of the things that I have found that when you're working as an the genre is very clicky. I will say that it's very very much clickish. So a lot of the times, finding people to network with is not easy because everyone it looks as if you're stepping on other people's toes. So to network, you have to have tough skin. You have to be willing to, put yourself out there and take the feedback. You have to be willing to take the shade and take the negative comments because that does come along with it. Um, my process of finding a way to write without losing my own voice, I publish independently. Like I said earlier, I am all about keeping my word, not feeling as if I'm constrained to someone is how I keep my voice. It allows me to speak my words freely. I don't have to worry about somebody telling me not to say this, not to say that. It's as simple as that.
Mm,
Dope.
that's a bar right there. That's a bar right there. I do it myself. That's how I knew it. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Going back to that Tyler Perry piece. Tyler Perry's movies come out of Tyler Perry Studios. Um, talk about how you said this was
Oh,
something.
Spencer as well. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You said that Granny put the battery in your back when you were 5, right?
Yes.
To go through that journey of having that burning passion inside of you as a child, to putting the pen to paper as an adult in 2012, to getting published in 2018.
Yeah.
What was that
So,
feeling like?
so it honestly started really because I was an only child. I was an only 8 years old. So when other people had imaginary friends, I had myself in my room just writing down little thoughts. So that's where it started and how it started. Progressing into actually writing a book, it was a scary journey. I can only be honest when I say that it was very scary because, like I said earlier, there was always that little bit of, well, is it going to be good? Um, am I good enough? Read it. Then that turned into just stepping out on faith. Like I said, my husband, he told me, you won't know it until you actually put it out there. Um, so it's just been a journey. That's the best way to describe it. It's just been about believing in self and just putting it all out there. That's what it's been.
That's dope. So, what was the satisfaction of having it, of finally having it out there and having it published?
People coming to me and telling me that they were inspired by me actually putting out words. People just telling me how they knew I can do it and they were proud of me. And other people who know me as like outside of the writing just telling me like, I read it and I didn't believe, I honestly believe that this was written by somebody who had been writing for 15, 20 years because it was just that well written, that well put together, that professional. And my husband was like,
Well, if my
little
math is
butterflies made me feel
if
like, okay, I actually did something.
yeah, if my math is correct, you had been writing for 20 to
Okay.
25 years, right?
Listen, y'all are the ones that's old. I'm not that old, okay?
Oh,
I'm
hold on,
I'm young.
hold
I'm
on.
Yeah,
not
she
Wait a
that.
minute.
young too.
Wait a minute.
Ah, Mr. Yeah, we went to high school together. So, I mean, like I joke with Reggie all the time. He's like 40. So that makes you what,
Hey,
42?
hold on. Time out. If he like 40, that's his business. I graduated on time.
Ah,
Oh man. No, that's dope though. That's
I don't
awesome.
know about that.
Yeah, your support system is extremely dope. You know what I'm saying? Your husband's dope for pushing you in all the right directions. You know what I'm saying? Sound like every time you kind of try to fight it, he's like, "Hey, look, go ahead and put it out there." You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Shoot your shot.
he most definitely he's the one that put me on a writing schedule.
Aha!
So, like I said,
Go.
during the pandemic, I'm tired. He put me on a writing schedule.
No, that's what's up. That's so dope, and I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. So, for our listeners, what are the names of all 4 books or all 3 books that you have published out now that they and where can they go get them?
Okay, so all of my books are available currently right now on Amazon. Available under my author name, which is BG. It's BEY and the letter G. I do have an author page set up on Amazon. And the 3 books that are available are Caught in a Dangerous Game. Then we have Caught in a Dangerous Game Part 2. And the third book is called Did It All. Yeah.
And everything is available on Amazon right now.
Everything is available on Amazon for either digital download to your Kindle device or your cellular phone, or you can purchase a paperback book for a nominal fee.
Hey, we need them nominal fees. I ain't mad at you one bit.
Yes.
You might as well go and do the Audible version too.
See, Fred gonna hold you accountable. He
You're not the first person that mentioned that. I was thinking about that. I'm like,
Listen, hey,
I
listen.
didn't think of that.
I don't read like that, but if somebody gonna read it to me, I'll listen. I ain't even gonna front with you, cause listen, I'm only gonna read about money, finances, investing. That's the only thing you're gonna catch me reading. But if
And
I gotta listen to something else now, I can listen. But if I gotta read it, that ain't gonna work.
listening to, so I've listened to Audible, and it's hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is very hilarious. Just listening to the enunciation of the words, it's like, no, Susan, why did you say it like that? That's not the way that it goes. But I digress. Like you said, it's some people are more comfortable with that. I think you find more humor in the Audible books, in the urban
go.
fiction genre. I
But
believe.
hey, you might be able to get that done two ways. That's a double check. You know what I'm saying? Because look, you can record it yourself in the way that you intended for it to be
You
said,
can. Yeah,
and
you
then you
can.
can have Susan who recorded it in the way that it was unintended. And now you have two different dialects of an urban fiction book. You know what I'm saying? That's check for two peoples. But you'd be surprised. Like I don't listen to some of these Audible books,
Hmm.
for school, and it's kind of dope to hear this American man give an African accent. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things, though. But I mean,
I
Pinky
could just
Jones,
about
what's not
imagine. Just
true?
about imagine.
You don't think Susan gonna say it wrong? You
Yeah,
right?
Miss Jones,
You
what's
know
not
what
true? Hey,
I'm saying?
she's like, I don't know what's going
I don't
on.
know what's going on. That's why I'll be looking at them comments, dog. All right.
Oh
Uh,
no.
B, where can people find you if they want to follow you on
Oh, the
social media?
fans. The fans.
You all in the interview?
I'm like, I'm like,
So
did, did we get hacked?
I am currently, I'm currently,
It's all
I'm
good.
currently in the
You said
process
it's a
of
freestyle.
rebuilding my author's page.
Okay.
So right now I just have my personal Facebook page right now. I did say that once I put out my fourth book, I was going to build a website because I don't want people just to go on my website and see two books. I want them to have, more content. So, as of right now, it's just my personal Facebook page where you get to see the shenanigans of me, but author page coming back soon.
Okay. Okay. So for the podcast listeners, I will have all of that for you in the show notes. So look at that. And then while you're in the show notes, make sure you hit follow for whatever app you're doing, whatever app you're using to listen to podcasts. You can see all of our social media information in there. You can follow the show at What's Happening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. The way it's spelled on your phone, WHUSHATTNIN. You can follow Fred on Instagram at Mr.Humble_beginnings. You can follow me on Twitter at Brad Robinson86, and you can follow me everywhere else at Brad Robinson 1986. If you like what we do, share the show with a friend. Leave us a 5-star rating in your podcast app and leave us a review. So that way that helps us to grow the show and other people can find us as well. We appreciate everybody listening to us. We appreciate our live audience here on Facebook and YouTube. B, we appreciate you as well. Thank you for coming. That's all I got. You want to add
Oh,
anything, Fred?
thank you for having me.
Oh no, it's been a pleasure. Hey, and maybe next time when you drop your book or get it done, we can do a listening party or we can do a book release. You know what I'm saying? A virtual book release, something different. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's some little spice it up on what's happening. But yeah, and since I didn't opened up my Facebook to be in public, you can follow me on Facebook too at Fred Scott. So I'm gonna add that and my normal Peace.
Hush.